This is a clouds weather alert.
Good Friday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center tracking some strong to severe storms here across North Florida and South Georgia, plus potential tropical cyclone number one down toward the south. There still hadn't been upgraded to Alex here as of this moment, but we're continuing to watch that, and we'll get to that here in a moment. But the reason I'm breaking in at this current time is because of the strong to severe acts, and we're seeing one warning that's about to expire here for parts of it looks like Gadsden and Decatur County. They're thinking about warning, extending a warning out toward Grady County there, but not quite meeting that criteria, but still a strong storm nonetheless here. Weather Service saying wind gusts to 50 to 55 miles an hour still possible, and half-inch hail as well. So got to keep that in mind here as we're looking toward that area. Seeing the pulse accent here, a downburst type signature on this accent as we've kind of been watching it here develop. I know we haven't gone on for any other warned situations here today, but these two here kind of seeing a pulse up, plus the system down to the south approaching their areas of South Florida with that center of circulation, the moisture that's building on in. So we'll kind of give you guys that information here more in just a moment. That's why the logo is red, and while we're in kind of that alert mode, but this stuff's not related to that system down there. But you see this warning about to go away, but Attapulgos is getting some pretty nasty weather still. Still kind of see a little bit of that signature, not as well defined as earlier though, as we're watching things there. And then as we look on off toward the east, let me go ahead and switch on over to our other radar mode. You'll be able to see what we're looking at toward Hamilton, Suwannee, and Columbia counties. Not as strong as it was earlier. About 10 minutes ago, these storms, again, they come and go so rapidly here. That's why we generally don't come on for them as quick in these type of scenarios, because we're really just kind of monitoring things. If we really see stuff pulse on up, then we'll come on the air here and be able to kind of provide that coverage as things look a little more sustained, maybe a little more organized in terms of that potential for some severe weather. But sometimes you have a potential for maybe 5 minutes, and then it goes away, and you can always get those alerts as soon as they're issued at Cloud_WX on Twitter. That's a place you can go there as we're watching some of this accent toward Jasper, White Springs, Swanee Springs, and the community of Houston. The area to the west, that warning going away now. We posted about that a little while ago on the main Twitter account there, and then Facebook as well. Now, I was watching to the south. We just got our first flash flood warning issued a little while ago from potential tropical cyclone number one. I know that's a mouthful there, but you can see that little green box. It's a pretty short fuse when they were seeing quite a bit of rain there, and had a band that was going on through adding on to that. So there was some concern as we're getting there into that sunset period, and that warning issued because they had already had 3 to 6 inches of rain with 1 to 2 possible. That worst of that band's moving away, but there's more and more rain to come on into the picture here. As Marco Island, Key Marco, there's some more vulnerable areas potentially, but you see some areas down to the south. We've seen some rotation today, but we haven't had any tornado warnings from our area of disturbed weather here in the tropics, but we'll continue to watch the situation carefully. You see all this moisture still to come, and as I take this off, we'll go ahead and see some of these tornado parameters here. Not overwhelming, but overall one there in that orange area, and then as we go to supercell composite, that's more impressive. Maybe indicative of some weaker tornadic potential. We'll just wait and see, but just going to kind of continue to watch things here. That eastern side is the more favored side for tornadic action as things do track along here. We'll see some of that kind of come across the area in South Florida as we look ahead into where the timeline is not showing maybe as much convection here in those areas where you would be more concerned as it was earlier, but things can still refire around the center, and you just have to kind of be mindful of that threat here as we look towards some of these communities, some of these urban areas and flood-prone areas here, because we could have some issues. And that tornado threat I was mentioning, I see some of those parameters, but let's go ahead and see the overall risk here. You can see in that yellow area, Key West and Miami, under this tornado risk, this nocturnal tornado risk here, where it could maximize during the overnight hours. So we got to just be kind of cognizant as we're looking at things here. Definitely got to be cognizant of what could end up happening. We'll just have to make sure things don't catch folks off guard as they get toward these areas. And I've been going between so many different modes here. You see our measure overlay, just trying to see where our center might be right now and see how things might be trying to wrap on up. You can see Still maybe not a perfect type of scenario there to get it called Alex, but that could change here. And then that's when that designation would occur from the National Hurricane Center in Miami. So definitely something to keep an eye on. I know heavy rains do continue over western Cuba there and South Florida, and hurricane hunters are investigating the system. So let's go ahead and look here. Recon isn't showing up right now in here. It doesn't look like, but we'll keep our eyes out for that as we go back on over again. There's your radar. We'll go out to some other areas. I know there's a bunch of thunderstorm warnings in toward parts of that New Mexico, West Texas area, and then a couple tornado warnings even in eastern Colorado. They're getting some attention here tonight. Folks really kind of keeping an eye on everything going on in the overall grand scheme of weather. But honestly, where the tornado warnings have been here today, have been with some accent out toward eastern parts of Colorado, now starting to get into west central Kansas here with one of these boxes talking about some of this. So definitely kind of interesting to see here with this thread. Just kind of starting to see how the situation's evolving more in Colorado for the tornado warnings right now, but these thunderstorm warnings starting to edge into Kansas here anyway. So I'm just going to kind of continue to watch and know, trying to watch everything the best I can. I know there's a lot going on here, but we're just going to try to keep you guys up to date. There's even a flash flood warning in North Texas, the Metroplex there toward Tarrant County, getting some heavier rain there toward Fort Worth and Arlington, Mansfield as well, there in North Texas. So kind of interesting to see that there as we're watching the Metroplex. But we'll go ahead and move back on down here toward the south and east. I know there's been some issues toward areas there in Georgia with a baseball regional toward Statesboro. They've had a lot of weather issues there. Now in Auburn, not so much. They've gotten lucky here today. And FSU with a big win against UCLA earlier on. Now Gainesville, they've been getting pretty lucky in terms of weather as well. The Gators playing Central Michigan. Last time I checked there, UF with a 2-1 lead there against the Chippewas. But just kind of keeping an eye on things here in the weather department and trying to see how they interact maybe with some of those outdoor events, things of that sort here across the region. I know Coral Gables, speaking of baseball, they had to push things back there. Miami did until tomorrow because this weather's been just too wet out there to be trying to play baseball in. And again, the conditions could continue to deteriorate. Interesting to see some of these more organized looking storms, at least here east of Florida. Those would generally be pushing away, and that would be good if we could keep some of the worst of the threats here off the coast, as this eventually will be headed away here, as you can kind of see here with this track. It's down here right now where you do see some of that hurricane hunter information popping back up again. You see that survey, that one right down there. Let me go ahead and say that. You can see here they're just doing some different things, and they're trying to get a gauge of where the system is. A little bit tricky right now because they're just trying to kind of figure out what's going on, if it is a tropical system officially or if it's not. I know tropical storm warnings that in play as we're looking down toward parts of central and southern Florida and the Florida Keys because of this situation here. They just want to be airing there on the side of caution, and that's why they called it a potential tropical cyclone, so they could issue that track and issue those warnings that are in play, so people do have that better heads up in case things do become tropical in nature. So always interesting to watch here, and as we watch the scenario at large, again, just kind of keeping an eye on things. I do see there is a now a significant weather advisory down there toward Miami-Dade County, so we'll check that out in a few minutes, but we still have that local warning talk about here toward the Swanee River Valley. So let me go ahead and pop up our other radar source here. We're going to go to the Moody Radar to kind of get a better visual on what's going on here right now as we get toward these areas. We'll kind of get on in toward these communities right now. You'll be able to see right there on I-75 some heavier rainfall there. The wind signature not impressive at all though, so that's some good news. But we'll continue to watch it. Obviously, they are still continuing that warning right now for parts of Hamilton and Swanee. They did cancel out Columbia. But let's get down toward the south here and look at our tropical area of interest anyway. You can see some rotation in these storms here down to the south. I haven't looked at this radar in just a little bit because we've been focusing on some other acts, and you just see a significant weather advisory here for that water spout potential. You can kind of see here that little area there as we get toward, it looks like the Royal Palm Ranger area in the Everglades National Park. And you see an area there north of Layton, that's kind of headed in that general direction. A little bit of greens and reds trying to come together, but these areas have been pretty weak in nature so far. I'll have to see if some of them tighten up. I know we had some little tight earlier, but they haven't been able to make their way on shore to pump the tornado warning yet. I hope that trend continues, but important for folks to have multiple ways to get alerts here overnight, just in case here, as we continue to watch this situation carefully. Continuing to watch things very carefully, obviously, down there toward South Florida and the Florida Keys with whatever could become maybe Tropical Storm Alex. Right now it's Potential Tropical Cyclone One. So again, just continuing here to watch this scenario going on. I know we've had a risk of severe potential up toward parts of Georgia and South and North Carolina. We had some tornadic concerns toward North Carolina earlier on. We saw some warning information coming on down from the National Weather Service there in Newport, Morehead City area. So kind of interesting to see that. But just continuing to track things at the present time. We're at 8:39 right now, and just kind of trying to go between different situations that are ongoing. I know these temperatures here cooler down to the south, but toward north central Florida, you see some 80s here on the board. I mean, it tells you just how warm and humid things are around here in these type of situations. And we've had these storms to kind of just pop on up here locally, or summertime typical action here in the local area, like what we've seen on the Doppler radar since we've been on. So again, going to continue here. You see a little area with no thunderstorm risk down toward west central Florida. Kind of interesting to see that, but sometimes you'll see that in close proximity to a tropical system. But again, some of that moisture is going to be pushing further up north, it looks like, from whatever becomes of this. Again, we're watching to see if there's a closed off center really, but this right now doesn't meet those tropical criteria that's set out there by the National Hurricane Center. So I just have to kind of continue to watch that here. The hurricane hunters are investigating this, but the latest here on this, as I zoom back out right now, is that it had 40-mile-an-hour winds. So if it was tropical in nature, it would be a tropical storm based on those winds. And we do have a tropical storm warning in play here along the coast from the areas there around south of the middle of Longboat Key to Carter Sound Bridge, and then the east coast of Florida, south of the Volusia-Brevard County line to Carter Sound Bridge, and then Lake Okeechobee under that as well. And then some other areas that we're tracking, all those inland areas under that tropical storm warning as well, meaning you could have, in this case, gusts over 39 miles an hour. I mean, technically that warning more for a sustained winds possible over 39, but I would say at least gust over 39 here at this point based on what we're seeing and just how these systems generally come together. I know the lower pressure here with this system compared to some other tropical entities that have this low wind, it's kind of interesting, but we're just getting a lot of shear on this, not able to be fully really tropical in nature here at this point, and that's why it's not considered Alex here right now. I know going back not too long ago, these type of situations, we wouldn't have a track order warnings, but they found they're important at the National Hurricane Center to go ahead and give folks a heads up, because you don't want a storm to hit minutes after the warning to get issued, because you can't issue those until you have the name. So that's why they change things sometimes. I know, just right off of Melda and toward Texas, I know a situation where that developed right off the coast, and then they had just really bad flooding around Houston afterward. I believe not too long after Harvey. So just kind of want to be careful here, make sure people are alert. I mean, of course you can have flood watches, but in terms of just a tropical storm threat and kind of ramping it up there and making sure people are getting prepared with sandbags and things like that, you just kind of have to be on the safer side. But we're looking here at some rotation tracks. Nothing really popping out right now from this perspective. Let me go ahead and go back on over here toward our infrared satellite. You can see some of this thunderstorm action here, Cuba, and a lot of this is further on off here. If this stays further off, that could kind of limit some of those rain amounts here toward parts of South Florida. But we'll just wait and see. It's way too early in terms of kind of declaring that, because we could have things kind of organized more toward the overnight. I know sometimes tropical systems have a tendency at night to produce more rainfall, it seems. And that's more dangerous at night because of where you're not able to see at. I mean, you have to deal with that, and you also have to deal with maybe tornadoes, nocturnal tornadoes as well. So going back toward the north now, we have the storm there toward Gaston County. You see some lightning in play there. This is toward areas south of Bainbridge, southwest of Cairo there. It's weakening on down some, but still have to remember when thunder roars go indoors, there's still that wind threat there, and then bigger wind threat out toward Suwannee and Hamilton counties, it looks like, toward Suwannee Springs. This warning continuing until 9 o'clock here. At 8:33, a severe thunderstorm was located near Suwannee Springs moving northwest at 10 miles an hour. So just kind of giving you guys that update there on that accident. But I'll go ahead and pull up some of our information real quick in terms of the platforms we're on, so you guys kind of know where you can watch when we have our updates or coverage of local weather or national weather scenarios here. Yeah, Facebook at Casey Cloud WX, Facebook at Cloud Weather, Twitter at Cloud Casey. There's auto alerts at Cloud_WX on Twitter. YouTube, you can watch this live stream over there. Search for Meteorologist Casey Cloud. You can subscribe as well. And then Twitch, Meteorologist Casey Cloud, and the website there, cloudweather.com. You can go to cloudweather.com/radar for an interactive look at things when we're not on the air. So that's always helpful to do here in these type of situations. So still watching things. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull up some traffic cameras since we're right in that good spot for that, I think, as we get toward those areas there in the Suwannee River Valley. So I'll go ahead and pull those up on our Florida 511 system, and I'll put them on the screen, maybe one or two of them, just depending on what we have here in just a moment. So we'll look there toward, it looks like the Woods Ferry Conservation Area, and we do have, it looks like a pretty good camera viewpoint here toward the inspection station there. So let me go ahead and pop this on up, and we'll go ahead and shift this one over now toward the traffic system. You can see the slick roads here for sure. Just be kind of careful out there this evening as we're looking toward this area here. Again, I-75 at the Agriculture Inspection Station. You can see things look pretty slick out there for sure. So one of those camera perspectives here as you're able to kind of just look outside on this coverage as if you're looking outside your window. So we'll go ahead and shift away from this for now, though. Back to the Doppler radar. I'm going to look for some more cameras here, see if there's anything that's a little better to give you a perspective on. Wow, this looks like quite a few flashing lights in terms of the cars here. I'll pop this up as quick as I can. I kind of started some of it to get out of view, but you just see the lightning, you see the reduced visibility here for sure. Something you have to contend with here on this Friday evening as we're looking outside there in toward this area. I know, still checking some different sources here. So going between some different computers, but this is some of that that we're getting a look at right now with the storminess. So let me go ahead and move away. We'll see what else we have for you here in the Weather Center. Might go downstate to see if we have any cameras on our tropical disturbance here. I mean, we do have some cameras just to see what they're showing here as it's getting dark. So maybe we'll catch a little glimpse of a heavier shower, a little gustier area here. I know we have cameras even in the Keys, so this might be kind of interesting actually. Some of them actually look pretty dark down there already, so that might make things a little bit harder, but we'll try to see what we can get you here if there's anything that's kind of worth looking at down there. Just trying to see. They're all pretty dark looking at this point, but again, I'm going to continue to watch this scenario as it does go on here. Let's see, maybe this one will show something. It's going to be there to still really blurry, but we're just trying to go through these. I'm doing this on the fly here. It's just me. I don't have a producer or anything like that, so I have to do this while I'm talking to you guys here to try to give you guys the best visuals here on our coverage as we look towards some of these spots. So I know some areas that will be calm one minute in these situations, next minute not so much. So something to deal with for sure. Let's get right into Miami here. You'll be able to see the slick roads at least. Let me go ahead and see this one. This is right into where Miami there on our traffic system now. I'll take that full and you'll be able to see what's happening there. Definitely slick, and as things get darker here, I mean, it's pretty well lit in this spot, but there'll be areas that aren't as well lit, and then the water covers the roadway, and then you don't know how deep it is, so you have to keep that in mind for sure as we're tracking the tropical threat. But let's go ahead and move away from this. We'll go ahead and move away from our traffic source as we look at this area here in northern Florida. That warning is still continuing down there South Florida. You see some storminess. I know Naples Getting some heavier rain right now as we're looking towards southwest Florida. I know sometimes the focus will be on southeast Florida, but southwest Florida, of course, high population density as well. So just kind of have to bear that in mind here in our coverage of tropical threats, other threats here, and you really kind of see how the things look slow here on the roads towards southwest Florida right now. Let's go ahead and pop up this camera. You'll be able to get this visual now to where I-75. A little bit hard to see, but kind of showing you guys what's going on out here on the roadways there. I mean, you're going to start running into some issues here at times as we're looking downstate. So always kind of intriguing to get these visuals, but back on over toward the Doppler radar. I'm going to check out, see if we have some more cameras here for you, because all these cameras can tell a different story from time to time. I know looking toward Alligator Alley there, I-75 at mile marker 100, it looks like. You can see a lot of the rain on the camera lens. We pull that full now. You'll kind of get the idea of what's going on there down towards southern parts of Florida, southwest Florida per se, at this point. So definitely kind of interesting to see exactly what the visuals are showing us here outside, and then compare those to the Doppler radar images that we're dealing with here as we continue on. But I'll go ahead and move away from this. So let's go ahead and move back on over once again to the Doppler. Just always interesting to see what type of camera work we can get. I know I repeat myself from time to time, but that's just the nature here of live coverage when we're dealing with these type of scenarios. Just you have to kind of pick and choose here what type of video we want to show you here. I know we have some heavier downpours. Let's see the Keys. It's really dark down there. I mean, this isn't going to show a lot, but I'll pop up one of them anyway here, just to say that it is raining, of course, down there. This is down into toward the Keys there. It look like around Layton, so it is kind of a visual there right now. You can see how roadway looks pretty quiet there, US 1. So this kind of how the scenario is going, though, with what could become Alex here at any point. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'll go ahead and see the Doppler radar picture again. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up coverage here soon, because I'm not too impressed with our local accent here. Let's go ahead and see that storm again. We still have the warning on it for areas there as we're getting around, looks like areas there around Interstate 10, Interstate 75, and then you can see here west of White Springs, pretty rural area here that we're dealing with, and the signatures aren't all that impressive here from what I'm seeing within our Doppler radar algorithm. So now we are seeing some maybe enhanced rotation though towards South Florida. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this up here on our other source with our tropical disturbance. You do see some greens and reds. Now they're pretty broad, but we do have a little bit of a spin here just east of Flamingo there, and just to the north and west of Alamorada. So just giving you guys an idea. I'm going to do west with Key Largo there. If you kind of look, it's headed more up into toward areas there around, it looks like a Royal Palm Ranger, the Everglades National Park. So pretty rural in comparison to other parts of Miami-Dade County, of course, but nonetheless, so just kind of interesting to see if we get our first tornado warning here over the next little bit with this system. It's not really impressive, I mean, but there is some type of wind signature, I mean, with this. So this kind of intriguing. We'll have to see if things maybe weaken or strengthen as it comes across the land there over the next little bit. Again, just watching these different areas, we're going to have to see how they spin on up, spin on down here. We do have our winds on here as well. And we had some higher gusts in the Keys earlier, but 21 Marathon, the latest read. You see 26 Cape Coral, give or take here. These are kind of estimates in our system, but 25 Punta Gorda. You kind of get the idea here. These kind of round down, by the way, is what I mean by estimates in our system. But we're going to continue to watch our Doppler. These are not that impressive a wind right now. And I mean, the power outage numbers kind of back that up. And we weren't going to come on as of yet for this accent down to the south. We may come on for that Florida threat. We'll just wait and see. But we came on for what was going on locally here and just combining all that together. But I do see the numbers in Florida have gone up for some reason. Let's see where that would be actually pretty scattered about. So let me go ahead and see. Looks like both Southwest Florida, Lee County getting some there in Florida. Not in a covered area, not Lee County, Georgia, but Lee County, Florida, starting to see some power outages here. So we might look, and sometimes it's that constant wind and kind of cause issues here. So looking toward that area, almost 5,000 customers in the dark. That's pretty impressive. Collier County, 179 customers. I know we're kind of clicking on some stuff here, so I'm going to click away, but you see just these different areas here. Miami-Dade County, 466 Broward, you saw not too high as we look down there. And even in our local area, Alachua County, over 1,000. Kind of intriguing to see that. And then Hamilton County, 69. So just kind of interesting to look at these PowerAdded.us numbers here this evening with you as we continue on with the coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and move away from that shot. We'll go ahead and dump back on over toward the Doppler in a velocity mode. Little broader rotation there south of Layton there in the Keys, but this other area a little more impressive. We'll just see. It's not something to write home about, but you never know in these tropical environments. It is at least what I would call weak rotation. They have the significant weather advisory out for water spouts and winds in excess of 30. So just something to watch. And we're talking about Lee County there. Lee County there, not seeing a lot in velocity. We're a little further away on the radar scans, but I'm just checking to see what may be causing those outages there. And I'm going to check our Florida 511 cameras again, see if there's anything interesting out of there. So we've had some areas of moisture and some wind come up from time to time, though, and that can knock out at least a little bit of power here in these type of situations with what is probably going to become at some point Tropical Storm Alex as we look ahead in the timeline. So again, we're looking here southwest Florida, Lee County toward Cape Coral. So let me go ahead and pull up a camera there toward Cape Coral, or maybe just on to the east here really as we look. We've kind of been pulling up some different cameras there in this vicinity, but just thought since we saw those added numbers, let's pull up one here. Maybe we can get a gauge on the winds. I mean, they're going to gust higher and then lower, so it's a little bit misleading because it can change pretty rapidly with a little area of enhanced wind. But here's your camera there, I-75 north, mile marker 124.6. It's kind of a broader perspective here right now on the situation. You can kind of see here, looking at the trees, you see maybe a little movement, but not seeing a whole bunch from this perspective here. You do see some folks maybe with flashers on this. That's kind of interesting. But again, just going to continue to watch, continue to track the situation here. I think we're going to go ahead and go off now, though, because we just don't have anything else to really go over at this point. We're kind of repeating ourselves here with this coverage. So let me go ahead and zoom away from that. Move away from that here. It's 8:56, so this warning to the north here should be going away at any moment. And again, not too impressive looking as we get toward parts of Swanee and Hamilton counties here right now toward I-75 and I-10. Some lightning, and have that stronger storm toward Gadsden County as well. Storms in Georgia there toward, looks like really Alma, just getting out of area of some focal point of that axis there. You can see the south of Waycross, a little bit of lightning storm up there in Charlton County, a little hail signature there. So kind of interesting to see maybe something trying to evolve there into toward that area and closer in toward the Okefenokee Swamp. But that's going to go ahead and do it for now. We'll need to come back on the air for any local severe concerns or any type of national threat. I'm talking about Florida, of course, with what could become Alex, and we'll do so here as needed, maybe streaming radar. Just kind of be a situation we're going to play by ear here in the Weather Center. But when we're not on the air, cloudweather.com/radar, we'll give you an interactive look at things here with the situation, with the scenarios that do play on out. So just kind of interesting to keep that in mind as we continue to keep in mind the system to the south. I know there is an update coming on in on the risk area. You can still see there, watching that threat even extended into Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach here, a nocturnal tornado threat. So that could be something that'll maybe need to be addressed later by a tornado watch. We'll wait and see. And then return us here in the chat. That flash flood warning for the Marco Island area will be allowed to expire at 9. So at least those rainfall rates, as you can see by radar, are not too big of a factor at this point. But it's something we'll watch. We're watching our system that could become Alex. We're watching our local storms. This yellow box here should go off the screen here in short order at 9 o'clock. But just as the radar scans come in, we're going to continue to watch, continue to track everything for you here in the Weather Center. But for now, thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me.